So, I don't know, maybe you guys are wondering why radio? Is that crossed your minds? Like, why should we bother with radio? Kinsey from NPR calls this the new transistor. And you may have noticed that while you can read, you can't read while you drive. You can't read while you're pushing your stroller. Some people try it. It's hard to read while you're jogging, unless you're jogging on a treadmill. So it's this idea that we walk around with earbuds in so that we can ingest content while we're doing other things. And to me, that's the big gift the radio still keeps on giving. Whether you're listening on your car radio or whether you're listening to a podcast that you downloaded or getting a live stream through your phone, or all the gizmos that now allow you to connect to radio throughout the world, I think that radio is going to live on. And audio content, really riveting audio content, will continue to live on. It's a very intimate experience to be a listener on the other end of the radio dial. Some people think of KQED as their companions. Literally, they have said, like, that keeps me company. These are people that I know. I have relationships with them. That's why they care so much when somebody gets axed and they don't have that host anymore because they had a relationship with them. And so we're using a lot of phone tape. If it's really timely, incredible phone tape, who cares what it sounds like, as long as you can actually hear it. But in terms of serving that intimate relationship, the closer I can be to you, the more intimate I can be with you through the power of the human voice, the emotional connection. That's what builds membership at KQED. It's like I have a relationship with you. I think the whole thing about the difference between writing for print and writing for radio or broadcast. In broadcast, you're writing to visual images. You literally want to have your images speak as part of the narrative. Same thing with audio. You want your audio to speak and propel the narrative. You don't want to write over it, repeat it. Sometimes you underscore it for stylistic effect, but the writing needs to be extremely conversational. It cannot be wonky. It cannot be bogged down in printese. You have to figure out how would you tell that story to your uncle at the bar, and then tell it to us again. Content is king. So who's producing great content? It's like, who cooks in this room? Who likes to cook? Anybody? Who has ever reduced a sauce? Reduction on the stove. You're boiling it down to its essence. That's kind of what these news briefs are, and these newscasts. And your news briefs would be like that as well. You are talking about an economy of words and an economy of sentence, but not only that, it's got to be conversational, it's got to be engaging, and ideally, there's a narrative to that 1 minute arc. There's a reveal. Why should I keep listening to you? Your very first sentence has to grab them and not let them go during the course of a minute. But people can switch, and they do. So,
I mean, I think one thing I run into a lot with reporters is they don't want to seem like they're editorializing, so they'll give both sides, and they should do that. But that doesn't mean you can't speak with inflection, or you can't, say what you learned about something. And a lot of the things that I'll play another one for you, but a lot of what I'll ask from you is, what can you give me that I can't just write? Like, what about you being there is different than me just saying this happened? And the way that it works right now is that we have partnerships with 8 news associates, and Peninsula Press is one of those, where we share content. So I see the articles that I basically check your website every day and look for the articles that you're putting up and read them and decide what makes sense for our regional audience, what would sort of have a resonance with readers beyond, say, like East Palo Alto or Santa Clara. But sometimes it's just a really interesting story, and I'm like, okay, we want to know what's happening in East Palo Alto.
The idea that you would go out and have sort of citizen input, and a lot of radio stations are doing this. Again, it's relationship building. It's, we're listening to you, we care, and we do. What are the mechanisms for you telling me, you missed this in that piece that you just did? I got a better story for you over here in Alameda about that housing thing that got shut down. So how do you have people help you drive where you're going with your content that makes it relevant and resonate with them, so they're going to come back and care and listen and tune in and read you? And I just am a big believer that, especially as newspapers were shrinking, there was a void, that people need information to have a healthy democracy. It's the old, why are we in this, thing. It's still the same reasons. But we need to provide really relevant, resonant content that in fact serves the entire public, not just the white 54-year-old baby boomer people. It's got to be hooking people where they are, everywhere, and it has to be delivered where they get it. Whether that's a text message or a podcast or an article that's on your PC or it's on your radio.